Alright, welcome everyone. This is going to be a review video on the VARIVAS Super Trout Advanced Sight Edition. It's a line I've been using quite a while in streams for Brook Trout. I've been using on the Alphas Air TW mainly, a little bit on the SS Air. It's really exceeded my expectations, and stay tuned. I'm going to go over a bunch of different reasons why you should be using this line for all of your stream fishing.
I got one. Yep.
I've been using this line for about 3 weeks. I began using it before trout season. I was using it in open water just after ice out. I was fishing for panfish. Caught a variety of bluegill, crappie, sunfish, all that kind of stuff, and even some pike and bass. And none of them seem to mind that super bright green color there. But with the abrasion resistance, a lot of times with like bluegill, if you catch a lot of bluegill, sometimes like right around your knot area will get kind of chewed up from their like sandpaper-like teeth. Also caught quite a few pike too, and like I feel that this line, it's not like invincible by any means, but it's actually really strong and abrasion resistant. I'd say more so than a lot of the fluorocarbon lines I've used. I'm running this in 4-pound. It does go from 3-pound up to 12-pound, as you can see on the back right there. Most of it you can't read, but it does say that it is IGFA rated for the 4-pound line that I'm using, and also the 6-pound and the 8-pound and 12-pound. So that means if you're going for any sort of world records, that this line has been tried, true, and tested, that it does have a 4-pound breaking strength. It's not like a 4-pound line. Like, it's labeled as a 4-pound line on the shelf, and then it actually is like a 6-pound line. So people are going, hey, this is really tough stuff. Yeah, it's because you're fishing a 6 or 8-pound line. You're not actually fishing a 4-pound line. But so for this being true spec 4-pound line, I fished this in a variety of different areas the last about week and a half. Trout fishing. A lot of the brook trout streams where I live, it's not that picturesque stuff out west where you have these big open rivers in these plains. I'm fishing it's really thick stuff. You got trees, lay downs. Sometimes there's the huge boulders or broken down bridges. And I've pulled this line through a lot of that stuff. I can tell you I've had to retie a lot less. Most times I'm kind of checking my line every about half hour or so, or if I get hung up really bad. But I had some really bad hang-ups, casting into brushes, like kind of messing up my cast a little bit. Not on purpose by any means, but casting, sometimes you get hung up in elder and like tag elder and stuff like that. And I was able to just rip it out of there and still be able to fish it. I still check my line after every one, but it's been smooth, super smooth. And big thing for that, kind of the same reasons why I do this, the single hook on these like small baits like this for trout, is I can fish them in a lot of other places that people aren't fishing. The hook, I get hung up less. You know, the bill kind of knocks up over rocks, and like that one hook, I get hung up a lot less. But also with the line, it's not going to get chewed up as much. I kind of get more and more confidence as I fish it. I'm throwing these lures into places that I normally wouldn't fish, and I fish in some pretty like thick stuff. So those people that are out there trout fishing, say with worms and sinkers or whatever they're using, they're going to hit certain areas. But those areas that are like beyond the logs or like in a bunch of rocky areas with some laydowns and twigs everywhere, those areas are untouched. So being able to have a nice strong line to fish that's what I've been looking for. And this line actually so far is, I haven't been able to test the longevity of it because I've only been using it for a short period of time. But I know fishing it hardcore over and over again without retying, it's been really strong. That's been the big thing for me. So one other thing for me, I thought this green line would deter trout a little bit more. I fished a variety of dirty water and clear water, and you can see the line still underwater. I'm not saying it's invisible by any means, but when you're in those dark tannic waters like up where I live, it pretty much, I don't want to say it disappears, but there is a definite difference between out of water and in water. One more thing too about the visibility of the line. When you're casting, especially these small baits, or if you use small jigs or whatever, a big thing for me is being able to watch your line. Like I use this one line, it was first it was like, I'd use clear line, and it's like, oh, I can cast. But when it gets a little bit dark out, or if you're using more natural color baits, like not super loud, vibrant baits, it's hard to track exactly where you're casting over and over again. And like, especially like when you got brush and like other dark backgrounds, a brighter line helps with that. For me, I tried this one line. It was orange. It had like big section of orange and then small sections of like a smokish grayish color. And I was casting that, and I found that orange color it did look nice, but seeing how it was metered, I couldn't get a really good like visual seeing where's my line's going, how much bow is in my line, so I can feather my spool and my rod tip down. This solid green color, actually, I can see it really good. I do have a lot of leaves and stuff still on the ground, so right now, before all the green stuff comes up, it's a pretty good representation of what it looks like to fish in fall time. And this green line stands out against those leafy backgrounds really well. I know that orange line, I have fished it side by side, even like this spring. And I do have a little bit more difficulty tracking my lure. It's not impossible, but I know, especially when it gets dark too, I can track my lure in the air a lot better with this. Going into that, when I'm fishing currents and stuff, a lot of times like these baits, like this bait right here sinks. This is a Rapala CD1. It sinks, but it'll kind of tumble in the current. So what I do is I can watch my line. And I see like where the lure is tumbling, how much line the current's taking, because I can use that to almost turn my lure around like rocks or whatever else. If I want to get right into an eddy, I'll lead my line into an eddy, and then I'll slowly reel and jerk my lure, and then my lure kind of rip around right down into that eddy. And a lot of times trout will hit it that way. I haven't noticed any less bites with this line doing that, especially with the lines coming in first and then it's the lure afterward. I haven't noticed any less fish at all. I got mine from Baitfinesse Empire. Basically, it's an online finesse-oriented tackle shop. Check them out. I'll have a link down below. Amir, he's the guy that runs it. He got a bunch of this. He's not an authorized reseller of VARIVAS line, but he got a bunch anyway from Japan to be able to sell in his shop. I know that VARIVAS, they started a North American headquarters. They're kind of testing the waters out. So you can buy it directly from their website or on Amazon. I did see that they have a Amazon store on there too. But overall, I think it's really good line. I was kind of skeptical about that green color at first, but it hasn't really dropped. I haven't noticed any sort of drops in success rate at all. And it's super tough. They have a different line. It's called like Bush Trail. And if it's tougher than this, I'll be surprised, because this stuff's actually really tough. But that green color, don't be turned off by it right away. If you are, maybe you can use a leader on it or something. But I really like it as a main line. Even casting like on BFS gear, it doesn't have a ton of memory. It doesn't spool off. Like I'll pull off some line right now. That's not bad at all, right there. That amount of memory. All right, so if you're on the fence, if you're looking for a new trout line, I suggest trying this out. There's 100 meters on there. To make it stretch out even more, like economically, I'd suggest that you mark off where like 30 meters or however much line you're going to need. Probably about 30 to 33 meters. So mark off 33 meters somewhere in your yard or however you have to do it. Football field. Go out, measure out how much line, and then cut it. That way you know you're getting 3 complete spools out of that. So if you break it down that way instead of just filling up a spool and then just calling it good, eyeballing it, what's going to happen, you have like 75 yards on one spool, and then you're going to go spool up another reel, and you're not going to have enough. So that's one thing I suggest that you do. It makes it a little bit better. It actually is pretty affordable line to begin with, but just me, I'm very frugal when it comes to stuff, so I want to make sure that I can take as much advantage of it as possible. So stay tuned if you want to see this line, more of this line in action. I'll be fishing it all summer. And also if you want to see other sort of BFS gear reviews or just tackle reviews in general, make sure you subscribe as well.